Hello and welcome to another episode of Beyond Loss, Loving Life with Karen Chaston. I'm Karen Chaston and I am the co-founder of the Chaston Centre. And we love to assist two types of people: individuals to be able to move beyond any kind of loss and create their better every day, and businesses, we love to work with their people, because we know that when you create a team dynamic workplace, your people will be thriving, your profits will be thriving, but more importantly, your passion and the reason why you got into business will be thriving. So that's what the Chaston Centre loves to focus on. And if you are here for the first time seeing me go live, on Mondays at 10 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, we focus on the Beyond Loss component of the Chaston Centre. And on Thursdays at 10 a.m., we deep dive into how you can understand that your people and your profits are connected. And we'd love to say that give us your worst employee and we will make them either one of your best or we'll get them to leave. And isn't that a win-win for all? I think it is. Believe me, as a former CFO of a publicly listed company, I know it's a win-win for all. But today we're going to deep dive into loss and why we suffer so much, because our lack of loss intelligence really does hold us back from moving forward when loss comes to visit. You know, so often we get stuck in what has happened and we don't take the time to stop and look at what it means for us now, what it means for us moving forward, and who do we want to be moving forward after this loss event, because you're not going to be the same person. It's impossible for you to be the same person, no matter what loss has come to visit. So let's deep dive into today's. So as you can see, as I said, co-founder of the Chaston Centre, and it's really exciting to be able to share this information on these platforms that I'm sharing them on. But more importantly, don't you love the world we live in, the fact that we can do this? So let me get started. So as I said, there are over 40 different loss events. Now, when I first heard this, I went, no way, how can there be so many loss events? Most people think it's a death of a loved one, and then they don't go into the others. But, you know, the major ones are death of a loved one, a divorce, a separation, a job loss, your health, your wealth, your pets. But during the last couple of years in the worldwide pandemic that we've all experienced, a lot of the minor ones have come to the forefront. Loss of freedom, loss of choice, loss of status, changing work conditions, changing recreational activities, and changing social activities. But you know what? No matter who I work with, there is the number one loss event that really does come to the forefront when any of these other minor ones come into your life, and that is loss of identity. You know, we all come into this world perfect and loving and ready to absorb what the world is. But we then start to take on our parents' beliefs. We start to take on our teachers' beliefs, and we start to minimize ourselves. Who do you think you are to be acting like that? Who do you think you are to say this? All these things that slowly take away our identity. You know, well-meaning advice when I started my career, my corporate career, is don't act like that, Karen, if you want to get ahead. So I slowly started to lose who I was, and I became this person that when I left my CFO role, I looked in the mirror and I went, who are you? I don't even really like you. I don't like the fact that you're so angry, that you're always so busy, and your relationships really do require a lot of work. And that's when I really did, you know, start to really not only go on that journey to becoming my own best friend, but to deep dive into loss. My accounting brain was always, when I was in that corporate life, there's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. There's got to be a better way. And I would always find that better way when I was bored with doing something that I've been doing for a while, so that it was a better way. And that's what I found with loss. And that's why I went deep diving into this. What do you mean there's over 40 different loss events? Well, here they are. Let me put them on the big screen for you so that you can actually see them really clearly. So have a quick look at them and, deep dive into them. And I'm sure you'll go, oh my God, I've had, a lot of these. I present this quite a fair bit. And normally I get, I've had 21 of those 40 plus loss events and I'm only 40. And you think, yeah, it really does highlight that we are all going to have multiple major losses throughout our life. But our lack of loss intelligence holds us back. It keeps us from knowing how to move beyond and create that better ideal life. We get stuck. We get stuck in avoidance. We get stuck in suffering, in isolation, which ends up affecting our health and all areas of our life, especially our relationships with other people. Because if you're not experiencing a loss event, it's not that easy to know what to do, what to say, and how to be around that person who is experiencing this loss event. So why do we suffer so much? So just take a sec, if you can, and let me know in the comments, how many loss events have you had? As I move on, and then I'll come back and I'll have a look at it. So as I said, right, we don't want that one, we want this one. Over 40 different loss events, and you can clearly see them, but we are all suffering. You would think with so many things coming up in our life, we would have learned how to easily move beyond loss and create a better idea, know what to say, know what to do, know how to be there for other people, and more importantly, know how to be there for ourselves when we are going through these traumatic loss events. So today, there are 3 aspects of the relationship. This is the number one reason why most of us suffer so much, is we don't understand this principle, that there are 3 aspects to our relationship. The first one is the physical. So that is the way we hang out together, the things we do, the things we say, the way we touch each other. That's when we're physically together. And let's face it, when we're physically together, our physicality has all of these things that come up, and which leads to our emotional part of the relationship. In the emotional part is all encompassing of all of our feelings, the good, the bad, the glad, and the sad. And sometimes it's really, really hard, for example, when you break up from your boyfriend, or a marriage breakup, or a job loss. It's really hard. You're emotionally attached to this person, place, or thing. And when you're not going to be part of it anymore, it's really where we just don't know what to do, and we don't know how to handle our emotions and the different types of emotions that come up in different parts of our body. And then, of course, the third aspect is the spiritual. Now, the spiritual is that intangible thing. We know we're connected to this person, place, or thing, but we're just not sure why. And the important thing about understanding the 3 aspects of the relationship is that when the relationship ends, it is only the physical aspect that goes away. The emotional and the spiritual live on forever. And it's the emotional part of the relationship that causes us all the pain and the suffering, because we don't know how to tap into our emotions. Your emotions are actually guiding you to a place to heal, guiding you to a place where you can either apologize, forgive, or acknowledge. But because our emotions don't actually call us up and tell us what's going on, we need to work through it. We need to understand. We need to do that deep dive. And I know that deep dive is not easy. So what do? We go into so many different things that it doesn't really help us at all. So if you look at the Kubler-Ross 5 stages of grief, and in my opinion, this is another reason why we suffer so much. Now, I just want to clarify why I've made that statement. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross's research on the 5 stages of grief is absolutely amazing, and it's so spot on. I am not knocking the research. What I'm knocking is the fact that she was showing us how we're doing loss, right? Many of us have taken that research as this is the way to do loss. And it's not the way to do loss. It's the hard way to do loss. So what is it all about? So the 5 stages are: we go into denial, we go into anger, we go into bargaining, we go into depression, and then we finally come into acceptance. Now, we don't go into them in that order. We may go into them in that order, but there is no set pattern to it. Acceptance is always the 5th one, but we will go in and out of denial, anger, bargaining, and depression in any sort of order. We may go to denial, bargaining, back to anger, back to depression, over to denial again. And we just continually go through all those stages. But as I said, the issue has been is that many of us believe this is the way to do loss. It's not the way to do loss. Sure, we may have all of those emotions come up for us, but it's not about us going, okay, tick the box, right, I'm at depression, I'm now going to acceptance. No, it's about understanding what your emotions are about. The second thing is that really holds us back and keeps us in suffering is blame, right? Now, I used to be an accountant, right? You all knew I was the CFO of a publicly listed company. But since I've been on this journey onto this sort of, 3rd stage of my life, or 3rd act of my life, as they like to call it, it's really quite interesting, because what it is I love to break down words. And I think blame is the most perfect word to break down. And I'm sure you're all going, what the hell? How can blame be a great word to break down? So we have blah, and then we have me. Okay. Now, when you're in the blah, 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 blah of what has happened, you have forgotten about me, which of course is you. So we spend so much time, you can hear it. I've had so many people, the reason my divorce happened is because of my husband or my wife, blah, 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 blah. They've forgotten about the fact that there's 2 people in every relationship. It's a one-to-one relationship. And it never ever takes one person to go from a happy marriage to a divorce, right? It takes 2. And it takes a lot of little incidences. And it may be a lot of little things have come up which you've totally avoided and just sort of park them over there. That's too emotional. Let's push it down and we might do some things. So one of the great ways for you to stop suffering is to start to get out of blame and start to get into responsibility. And start to take responsibility for your part of whatever this loss event had. Now, I totally understand that if it's a death of a loved one, there is things in the relationship that you need to take responsibility for. It's not the fact that they have died, okay? There's so many reasons why they may have died, and there's so many things. But it's about getting out of the blame, whether you're blaming yourself or whether you're blaming others or where you're at. Because as long as you're in the blah, 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 you will never be able to take responsibility for what has happened. It'll be very, very hard to come to acceptance, and it'll be very, very hard for you to be able to move on with your life. Now, I want to make it really clear here that you will always have this little, maybe sadness is probably a good way, but you won't be suffering, okay? And that's what life's about. We all have these little sadness, like, my son passed away over 10 and a half years ago. He passed away. But I'm in a good place with him. Like, whether you believe it or not, Dan and I, are in great communications. He's always showing me that he's traveling with me. He is the co-founder of the Chaston Centre, and I give him credit for all of my books. I give him the awareness that he has given me from beyond is unbelievable. But sure, I have sadness that he's not here. His brothers and his sister are married with children, and I really do wish that he could have experienced that as well. But at 27, he hadn't got there at that stage. And we totally understand it. Most boys at 27 are not married with children. Well, some are younger, but yeah, that's right. But when you start to get rid of the blame, you can then start to heal and tap into those emotions. So what causes your pain? This is what I believe causes the most of our pains. And I have decided to call it the unconscious mind lost loose. And the reason I call that is because you have this constant chatter. I have a great friend who calls that constant chatter the itty bitty shitty committee. And I can understand why she calls it that, because sometimes that constant chatter is berating you and not making you feel great. And when you're suffering from loss, it can really be in overdrive. So it's when you start to say things like, I wish I had, why didn't I, if only, we should have, why did they, or why did I say, or why didn't I, and why did I not say this, and all those sort of things. So you have this constant loop going around inside of your body, which is, of course, bringing up all of these emotions about all these different events or non-events that have happened in the past, and that's what's causing you to suffer. Now, emotions are energy in motions, emotions. And the ideal way that they are here, they actually come to us to help us heal, and then they move on, energy, emotions. And the way that they talk to us is they can't pick up a phone. So the way that they talk to us is through, giving you a little ache, or giving you a little thought, or helping you to feel something so that you can heal it. Now, most of us have decided that that's uncomfortable, and we don't want to be in any sort of emotional pain. So let's actually figure out another way of actually dealing with this. And this is where we go into your coping strategies. And we've all developed them. I actually like to say that your coping strategies are really your avoidance strategies. So let's have a look. There's an active coping strategy. So that's where you're actively deep diving into your emotions, figuring out what they are, healing them so you can move on. Then, another one's going to come in. Figure out what it is, figure out where it is in your body, because that actually tells you a real lot. And then, of course, when you heal it, you move on. And that just continues until, guess what? The amazing thing is that for the rest of your life, you are going to have things to heal. But it's like a little lotus opening, a little flower. So as it opens, these emotions are released, right? And some more may come up. But the more you heal, the less there is to heal. And not only that, the better you are at healing. So this is the ideal strategy, is to actually become active. Or you may be passive, where you're sort of, you're not really at the active stage thing, but you're at the neutral stage. So you're sort of passively sort of just, there, right? And you're not really doing much about it. And then, of course, the other stage is the avoidance stage. Now, what I really love about the way that I have displayed this with my beautiful branding lady is that the first one is you've got to act, right? The second one is you're passing on life. And the third one is you really are dancing with your life, right? And probably negatively dancing with your life. I've always loved the beautiful Wayne Dyer, and he's saying that don't die with your music still in you. And if you are in avoidance, you probably will die with your music still in you. And the reason why is you're avoiding life. You're not allowing yourself to even hear the music within you, and you're not in flow with your life. You're not dancing to the rhythm of your life. And that's what this is all about. And that's why I love doing what I do, because I assist people to move beyond any kind of loss and create their better everyday life, where they are dancing with the life. So do you know what your avoidance strategy is? Let's have a look. Food, alcohol, drugs, anger, exercising too much, working too much, isolation, suffering in silence is so common, especially after the first couple of weeks after the loss event that has occurred, because people have I've been there now, I've moved on with my life, and now you look around and you go, oh my God, here I am all alone and I don't know what to do. And of course you don't, because we as a Western society are not very good with coping with loss. Let's avoid it and let's get back to the happy times. And we do this by all of these avoidance strategies. And not only have we been so good at it, we've created worldwide accepted avoidance strategies. Netflix, the internet, the social media. That is what we have created. Avoidance, 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 avoidance. We're so good at it. Then, of course, overindulging or underindulging in sex is a total avoidance. And then, of course, we have the amazing shopping, which we've even decided to call retail therapy. But as we know, it's not really retail therapy. Sure, you might get that 15 seconds of enjoyment from what you've bought. And then, of course, it's, at the back of the cupboard and you're onto something else. And it's avoidance, 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 because we're not tapping in to what our body is saying to us. We're not tapping in to healing and the emotional traumas that have happened in our life. And that's where I love to help people. So, are you ready to stop the suffering? And I really hope that you are. And the best way you can do it is to rock up here where you are seeing me now at 10 a.m. live every Monday, because we're going to deep dive even further into how you can stop the suffering. We're going to deep dive into the ways that you can heal all of your past loss events. And the beautiful thing about it is that when you do that, when you heal, right? When you learn how to heal the way that you can then go up this beautiful staircase, the gift of loss staircase. And I'm not going to go into that, but I just want to clarify something just so it's really, really clear. The gift of loss, there is no gift in the loss event, okay? The gift comes through you doing the deep dive in, through you walking up this staircase, following the 5 steps, which we will be talking over the next few weeks. So make sure you come here live or look at it on the replay, but make sure you tap in so that you can see how you can find the gift of who you are. And acceptance is actually a very important part of it, but it's not the 5th step. On the 5th step, believe me, it comes a lot earlier than that. And that's what I want to really deep dive into. So I hope that you've enjoyed today, and I'm really looking forward to be able to share this with you. So that's it for today. That's my beautiful little live. And now remember, on Thursday, I will be back here at the same time, but we will be deep diving into the workplace, how you can create a team dynamic workplace through the people and profits connection. And it's absolutely amazing. I love the fact that I had to deep dive into loss to help individuals for me to go, oh my God, imagine if I understood this when I was in my corporate life. How different would have I been? How different would my team be? How different would the whole workplace be? And more importantly, how much more profitable would our businesses have been? And I know for a fact that all of them can easily thrive when we bring these different awarenesses into the workplace. And no, it's not a therapy session. It's actually just bringing awareness so that you can help your people to become your greatest asset. And isn't that why we're in business? To help our people and to create more profits? I think it is. And imagine when that rolls out to the whole world. Anyway, if you want to contact me, just PM me or message me wherever you are seeing me now, as I'd love to chat. And remember, as always, have an amazing day. Make it meaningful, memorable, and magical. Bye for now.